Those of you out there that might be, really geeky like me, you might be interested to see what the macro looks like on the Excel side of things. Okay, we know that we can record the macro, we can play it back, but what is Excel actually recording, and how can we make simple changes to a recorded macro? You'll remember that the first macro I recorded for you, I changed the size of the headlines, right? And then I went in and I auto fit each cell, each column, and then I changed the size again. So that was like a repeated unnecessary task. Well, I'm going to show you how to eliminate things like that. I'm going to click the macros button here, and I'll select headings 1, which is this is the first macro we created, and I'll click edit. Now, when you edit a macro, you get the Microsoft Visual Basic editor. And this code right here, this is Visual Basic for inside of Excel is kind of a specialized programming language. You are actually programming inside of here. So Excel interprets this information and it executes it accordingly. Obviously, like I said before, trying to teach you all about a programming language, that would be easily a 4-hour course all by itself. But I can show you some pretty simple things. A lot of the stuff that shows up here is somewhat self-explanatory. And at least, if you didn't know before, you can kind of figure it out. Range, A1, select. That means that I'm choosing that cell. In other words, I'm clicking on it. Then active cell, meaning the cell that is currently active. Add the formula to it. Title, that's just, text that I'm putting in there. And then I select B1 and I type name in it. I select C1 type description. So this is just all of the things that I did. If I misspelled description and I didn't realize it until after the fact, I don't have to go back and record that whole entire macro again. I can come in here and edit, between the double quotes there, and we'll just, maybe we'll just do DSC period. We just want it to be shorter. Contact info. Let's change this to email address. Okay, so you can make simple changes like that, no problem. What about where I did the auto fit to the size of the columns, the width, and then I went in and changed the size of the fonts, and then, of course, that kind of made things messy, so I had to go back in and do the auto fit again. Well, how about I change the size of the fonts first? Easy to do. Right here is where we did the auto fit. Let's just go ahead, select that, and delete it. Excel doesn't care if you're taking stuff out of here. And for that matter, let's make sure there's no other resizing anywhere. Nope, doesn't look like it. But what we do have is I clicked like the larger font button. I didn't directly select 16 as the size. So really, these two lines aren't needed. I don't need to go from 10 to 12 to 14 and then finally to 16. The default size is 10. I can jump straight to 16. So let's just delete that as well, so that now the font is resized specifically to 16. And with that, I'm pretty much ready to go ahead and save this. And I can close Microsoft Visual Basic. Watch what's going to happen here. Let's create a new sheet. And I'm not sure if I've got that PayPal stuff still on the clipboard. Yep, looks like I do. Good. We'll go again. 2 cells, 2 columns to the right. Macros. And, oh, you know what? I'm doing the wrong thing altogether. So we created a new worksheet. I'll go up to macros. We're going to do, I think headings 1 is the one that we edited. And I'll click run. All right, so now it's DSC period instead of description. It's email address. And the best part is it's not doing that repetitive duplicate kind of stuff. It's executing everything, just as it actually should. Now, I want to show you real quick what our fix PayPal macro looks like. We'll edit that. And here you can see again, It selects a specific cell, and all of this stuff, I don't expect you to know what all of this coding stuff is and programming and all of that, but you can look up anything in there. If you open up a macro and you look at, the Visual Basic and you want to know what's going on, you can click on any one of these elements here. So click on any one of these elements, hit F1, and something should come up that, you can, at least if you have to, type in the word, the replace function. There we go, and it's for Visual Basic. So you can click on it and you can read all about it. The text here is kind of tiny, but you can read all about it. You can find out about the syntax that it uses, what it's looking for, the arguments and parameters that you've got to supply, and what it's capable of doing. And that can kind of give you an idea of what you're supposed to, of what you're capable, at least, of modifying. I happen to know that the replace feature here is going to look for USD, right? And it's going to replace it with blank. So that's what we would, and my screen is not refreshing here. Let's minimize this and open it back up. There we go. Okay, so selection.replace what? USD, that's what we're looking for. Replace it with nothing. And that's it. All this other stuff is default, and it goes through and it performs it. So every single one of these sections here, every single one of these new lines, it is executing something. Here is the formula that we typed in. So it's placing that formula in that cell. And then down here we typed in total. So all of these things you can go in and customize if you want. Like I said, Visual Basic it can be pretty complex. There's a lot of stuff that we can do, a lot of flexibility. Most of you are probably going to stick to just recording regular macros, but you do want, from time to time, you will want to come in here and make modifications like we did earlier, where you remove a step that wasn't necessary, things like that. And it's a lot of fun. It really is. If you're into programming, then it can be a whole lot of fun. I'll go ahead and close that. I don't think we need to save it. And that's going to be it for macros.